Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. If I could ask for your attention as we celebrate this very historic day here at the National Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum. Ask for the duration of the program for you to silence your cell phones, and following remarks, we will cut the ribbon and formally open the exhibit. Joining us to celebrate this occasion today, please welcome the Chairman of the Board of the National Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum, Jane Forbes Clark.
Thank you, Brad, and welcome to Cooperstown, and we are so happy you're here. We are opening an exciting new exhibit today on baseball in the last 40 years, Whole New Ballgame. And we are dedicating the space that holds this new exhibit, the Janetschek Gallery, to Bill Janetschek Sr. by a wonderful gift made by his son, Bill Jr., who has been a great supporter of this museum and our mission for many years. If there was a Red Sox game being played over the last 45 years, you can be fairly certain that Bill and his father were celebrating the victories and analyzing the losses. Baseball was such a strong bond between them that Bill has chosen to celebrate his father's impact on his life with this fantastic gift, the Janetschek Gallery. Baseball has always been a constant in our culture. We have documented its story since we opened in 1939, 76 years ago. But over the last 45 years since 1970, the game has changed in so many ways. New rules have been written, new ideas have altered the way the game is played, and new opportunities have been created for fans to engage with the game in so many different ways. Our challenge as a museum is to always stay relevant. Our role in preserving the game's history to provide context, and our commitment to the game and its history is to share the stories that reflect every fan's passion, and this exhibit truly helps us do that. This exhibit immerses you in baseball's last 45 years, which have included many of the game's most iconic moments and significant changes, from historic home runs to integration of cultures and technologies. This exhibit features more than 300 artifacts from our collection, highlighting the moments since 1970 that have changed the game. Through impressive media walls, interactive presentations, it wants you to choose your decade to experience the exciting moments on the diamond and the stories of cross-cultural impacts outside of the lines. One of the moments featured took place 40 years ago and helped revolutionize the World Series and television coverage. It was Game 6 of the 1975 World Series when Boston's Carlton Fisk stepped to the plate and dramatically waved a fly ball down the left field line, waving his arms, "Fair," as television cameras captured that moment and enthralled a nation of fans, and helped the Red Sox come to a victory in Game 6. He's with us today from the Hall of Fame class of 2000, Carlton Fisk. And that legendary home run comes alive today when you look at the bat that he used that is on exhibit here. And Carlton's wife, Linda, we're happy to have you with us. Just stand up a little bit. So thank you, Bill, for this amazing gift to all of our visitors. And please come up and say a few words.
Good morning, everyone, and thanks for coming. Today's really about three things. One, it's about a man and a love he had for the game of baseball. Two is the connectivity that man had with his sons and his children around that game. And three, it was really, and it is about history and preserving history. My dad was without a doubt the greatest baseball fan I ever met. He was a guy who at the age of 65 signed up for a trek where we were going to see all 30 baseball stadiums over what ended up being the next 15 years. And we were fortunate enough to get to 29 of those 30 stadiums. Here was a dad who every night, from the opening pitch to the World Series, would call his son and give him an update on the Red Sox score, the Mets score, and the Yankees score. Now, what's important, if you knew my dad hated the Yankees. Just hated them. What was important is that somehow my son went off the rails a little and became a very big Yankee fan. And so his job, he thought, was to follow the Yankees, to make sure he knew what player was hot, what player was cold, whether the manager was making good decisions or not, so that when we got together, he had the ability to talk to my son about baseball and the bond that they had between a grandson and a grandfather. And he ended up doing pretty well by himself, because if you think about it, had he not done that over the last 15 years, he probably would have missed out on probably one of the greatest players that ever played the game. And so by being selfless and really trying to absorb what his grandson was following, got to see Derek Jeter. Now, we're here today really about history and what it all means. My dad was a very big history buff, and more importantly, a very big baseball buff. Every Christmas, we would always get a regular gift, but for as far back as I could remember, we always ended up, my brother and I got a book on baseball. It could have been a book about Sandy Koufax. It could have been a book about the Black Sox. It could have been a book about the '55 Dodgers. But it was always about trying to instill in us the importance of history, not only just around baseball, but history itself. And so that is why, over a period of time, when my dad and I were talking, that we ended up working with the Hall of Fame to have the ability to come up with the gallery that you're going to see here today. Now, in closing, I just want to thank a couple of people. One of them actually isn't here. When I was talking last night about my dad's top 4 Red Sox, and those top 4 are all in the Hall of Fame, he actually had a 5th, and that 5th was Tim Wakefield. And why Tim Wakefield? I would ask him, I said, Dad, he's pretty good, but it's Tim Wakefield. And he said, Bill, you just don't get it. Here is a guy who just had adequate ability. But what he had was heart. He had the ability to punch above his weight, and he was a man that overachieved. And had he not been that overachiever, he never would have gotten to play the game. And the subtle line that he didn't say, but I was listening to, because it's just not about baseball, it's about life. It's try harder than everyone else, Bill, and you'll never know what you might accomplish. And so that's how my dad operated. I want to thank Carlton Fisk. I can't thank you enough for you being here. Without a doubt, my dad thought you were the man. My dad grew up in Brooklyn, and he knew baseball. And remember, he got to see Roy Campanella play. But whenever it came to talking about position players, where we would have a conversation as to who the best pitcher was, or who the best left fielder was, or catcher, it was always Carlton Fisk. And if there was a debate, and there always used to be healthy debates, because every once in a while someone would bring up Johnny Bench, my dad thought it was his job to dress that person down and tell them that he really didn't have a clue as to the facts about baseball. Right, Ralph? And to the Hall of Fame, I can't thank you enough for allowing us to be part of the Hall of Fame family. The time and effort and energy that went into this exhibit by all those involved, and so that goes from Jane to Jeff to Ken to Eric to John to Becky and everyone on the Hall of Fame. When we came up here last night and saw what was put together, to say that I was blown away would just be an understatement. And so from the bottom of my heart, we are so pleased that you're allowing our family to be part of the Baseball Hall of Fame. And, you know, at the end of the day, it's too bad my dad isn't here, but how cool is it that his name is going to be in the Hall of Fame forever? Thank you.
I think it's probably time to cut the ribbon, and if I could invite Rob, Billy, Jeff, Carlton to join Bill and I. And we have masses of scissors. How are you?
I'm going to pull this over.
Yeah?
Hey, Pudge. Hey, Pudge. That's it. Careful, let's do it. No, don't get hurt.
Look at you. Ladies and gentlemen, whole new ballgame is now open. You are free to make your way into the exhibit. Thank you for being here.